KCThunder.com. Mark, I know you all try to be pretty, I think you use the word ruthless about just how you react to these wins and losses, but just the feelings and the emotions that you all had walking off the floor after completing that comeback.
Yeah, the guys were juiced. That was a great win. Especially after the other night, had control of a game, one that we could have gotten, wanted to get, didn't get. I thought to turn around, especially after a rough start to tonight's game, to turn around and climb back in the game and just stick with it. Thought we showed great perseverance, and guys were excited. They should be. The other thing is we went ahead by one. Milwaukee game last week, we fouled in that situation, ended up losing the game, and I thought we did a great job on the last play there, just to clamp that down. So a lot of credit to them.
Yeah, and then just with Shai, it seemed like he continues to, I guess, learn more and more about the buttons he has to press throughout the course of a game when he's controlling offensive tempo and finding guys like J-Dub like he did late. What are you seeing out there on the floor from him?
Yeah, he's obviously, his talent speaks for itself and the way he's playing speaks for itself, but the invisible stuff that he does for the team is what's most impressive to me about him. And you mentioned the passes to Jalen. Jalen's out there, rookie, critical situation, and he finds him twice in the last 3 minutes of the game for open shots. And he's made that play all season, and he's made that play in losses. Denver at home, he made that play. He only took 2 or 3 shots in the fourth quarter of that game because he was spraying it all over the place. Detroit on the road, he was spraying it all over the place. And so for a guy like Jalen Williams, who we're trying to help develop and who we're investing in, the confidence that gives him when a guy that's got it cooking like that is still spraying the ball out to him, you can't put a price on that. So that's the stuff that's most impressive about Shai.
And I know that three-pointer is maybe not necessarily something that's like you're planning exactly how he's going to do that, but we've seen him make that shot going right. We've seen him make it going left. Just your thoughts on maybe the unpredictability that he can create in those isolation last-second moments.
He's such a threat to drive, and so if you're the individual defender on him, the first thing you're thinking about is that he's going to be, smoking by you, and it sets up his shot. So you get a great rhythm there. Obviously, great shot.
Is there something about him that he's made a lot of these big shots in the game? Like, does he just have that X factor in him?
No, I don't think it's innate. I think he works for it. His work ethic is well documented. I've talked about it many times, and I think that's where confidence comes from for him is, the combination of, how clear-eyed he is when he looks at his experiences. He grows through everything. He doesn't get too high after a night like tonight. He doesn't get too low when things aren't going well. And he just pours back into the work, And so when he gets in those moments, he's got great confidence and poise, and the reason is because he works for it. And so, again, relating that back to our team and our program and what we're trying to build, our guys admire his confidence in those situations, and they know how he works, and so it motivates Jalen Williams to work and every other guy in the building.
Can you sort of, after Beal makes that shot, you call timeout, can you sort of take us into that moment a little bit and just what you're seeing from your perspective as you go back out there and obviously, Shai's creation ability, whether or not to drive, like you said, or take that three, just your perspective on how that all went down?
We just wanted to make sure we got him the ball. There's other options on that play. If they help off other people, we got Giddey inbounding. Good mental toughness by Giddey, by the way. He didn't play down the stretch, and then we sub him for the inbound because he's the best inbounder, and he made a great read on the play. He didn't take the bait on the other options, got him the ball. And then, you just try to put a guy like Shai in space and then trust his instincts.
Lindy had only played in 2 games before tonight. Was this a case of these games are piling up and you wanted to get a fresh body in there? And if so, what was it about him and coming in that impressed you?
Well, we like everybody and we're going to need everybody, and so there's no replacement for opportunity, especially these guys that are trying to establish themselves and get into footing in the NBA. They usually reward you when you give them an opportunity. Amarui was a great example the other night. Jalen Williams has given us some good minutes these last couple games from Arkansas. Lindy tonight. And I thought that group collectively in the first quarter, that changed the game for us. We were really hemorrhaging there, and they went in there, amped up the intensity, physicality, and it went from probably 15 or 17 to like 8 or 9 at the end of the first quarter, and it just got the game like back within reach. Those can get ugly. On a road trip, you're down by 17 in the first quarter. That group really, they changed the game and got us back into it, and he was a huge part of that.
Coach, wanted to ask you, you mentioned mental toughness, and you guys were down 17 in the first quarter. Then they went on another run, 16, and then Beal's shot at the end. Just the constant punches that they were throwing tonight. Did it take a little extra mental toughness, especially being on the road and then being in that sort of situation? Yeah,
and I think that's what's encouraging about the group of guys we have, and it dates back to previous years. Last year I thought we were on the other end of a lot of these games, but we just kept coming, and it really didn't matter what the score was. We've built a habit of resilience and perseverance, and it's a credit to them. But it was certainly there tonight. You can't take it for granted on any given night. It's not going to be there 82 times. But I want to acknowledge that it takes time to build that, and this group's built that collectively. And so when we're in those moments, it's not just one person responding, it's the group responding, and I thought they did that tonight.
And your offense seemed to be humming all night long, comparatively to theirs. They were shooting the lights out, but you guys shot 50% from the field and from the three-point line. Just what does that say about your group, that you were able to maintain kind of some steady offense in the midst of their extreme shot making? Yeah, I thought we did a good job there. I thought their shot making was a credit to them, but it was also, defensively, we just didn't have it. And I thought, the offense was there. We did a really good job throughout the night of pacing on that end of the floor, but the defensive intensity is what changed the game and gave us a chance. We weren't going to outscore them tonight. They had it going. And the group in the start of the third quarter, those were the two parts of the game that I thought were big. That group at the end of the first, that second unit group, and then the group that started the third quarter. The intensity of the game totally changed. They made a statement with their play about how we were going to play the rest of that game, and I thought that changed the tide there.
Go ahead, Steve. Shai finishes with 42 points. Were you aware he had that many while you're watching him play out there?
I'm sorry?
Shai finished with 42 points. Were you aware he had that many watching him out there?
Well, I knew he didn't have more than that with the free throws. We gotta get in the lab with the free throws.
Work on that.
What the hell's going on with him?
So what makes Josh such a great inbounder? Because he has a ton of inbound assists this year. He probably leads the league in that category.
Well, his vision, first of all, which I think transcends the inbounding, but he's just got great anticipation. He's got great vision. He's got great size, which at the end of the game especially, usually there's size on the ball, and you can have great vision, but if you can't see, that's a problem. And the last thing is he's fearless, and it's hard, it's a credit to him that I am confident to put him back in a game like that, because obviously he wants to finish the game. He's a really good player. He usually does. He didn't play great tonight, but I just know that if you push that guy's button, he's not going to, there's no fear that's entering his mind in those situations, and that's a huge critical thing, especially at the end of the game. And so that's why he's good, and that last part's the X factor for him.
And on that last play, obviously Shai gets the switch. Is that kind of the intention with the screen to get him open, or is it just to get him open regardless of what's happening with the defense?
Well, he's screening, which gives you a switch if they switch. But if they try to keep their matchup, that's where Giddey comes into play. If they're with their matchup on that, he's going to throw it for a layup. He's done that before in that moment. And so the threat of Giddey, is what creates the switches, I think. And then now all of a sudden you've got a guy off Shai's body, and you've got, so it all works together. The threat of Lindy on the weak side, they're playing him straight up because they know Josh will throw it and they know he'll shoot it. So it all works together, and then obviously Shai made a great shot.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Good.
Coach.
All right.
We'll bring players next.